Well, hi there. I'm PJ. Of course, my friends, they all call me Pidge. And I'm just working on my memoir here for my kids and my grandkids. But as long as you're here, I should tell you a little bit about myself. First off, I'm 73 years old. And I am fully alert and in touch with reality most days. I've raised my fair share of kids, 4 to be exact. Got 5 grandkids. I lost my husband Gene just over 3 years ago. Well, I didn't really lose him. He died. So I'm a widow now. And when I brought Gene home from, that funeral parlor that they got here in town, they had him in this little black box, and I thought, well, that looks just like a Bose speaker. And Gene always loved Bose speakers. He just wanted one so bad and couldn't afford it. So what I did was I printed out the front of a Bose speaker and I pasted onto that little black box. And so now Gene's living in a Bose speaker on my TV stand, and I'm hoping he's happy in there. Anyway, I'm kind of like a Jane of all trades. I can do a little plumbing, a little electric. I can handle a skill saw better than I can handle a sewing machine any day. And I like to paint. I paint houses. Of course, I gave that up this past year, but I sure do like to paint houses, and I can paint a picture too. I'm a good cook. I make a darn good meatloaf. Of course, my kids never liked it, but I did. I thought it was really good. And I don't bake. I don't make cookies or cakes or any of that. Anyway, before Gene took up residence in his Bose speaker, we meandered all over this country of ours in our RV. 10 years on the road we were. And we went places I never thought I would see. Why, we went to Alaska, and we hiked up on the Worthington Glacier. We went to North Carolina, and we rock climbed up a mountain, and then we rappelled down on these ropes. But that was exciting. Appalachian Trail, we hiked that in Virginia. And we just been all over. We worked a lot of the national parks and got to hike on all their trails and see all their animals. And well, I had a mother bear and her cub walk not 5 feet in front of me once, and I would have gotten further away, but when I was backing up, I backed right into a tree and I couldn't go no further, and those bears just kept a-coming. I didn't want to turn and run. But all that mother bear did was just give me the funniest stare as she walked by. I was so grateful she didn't decide to stop. Took us 10 years to check off everything on that bucket list of ours. And when we did, we bought ourselves a nice little house out in the desert in Deming, New Mexico. It was all alone out there, no one around for miles except for scorpions and rattlesnakes and burrowing owls. We had all kinds of hawks up in the sky, all kinds of snakes. Well, we had a skunk that lived under our house. Of course, we had to ask her to move out because she got a little smelly. She came back twice, but the last time we took her all the way down near the Mexican border. She may have crossed over by now, I don't know. But she never did come back that last time. Since Gene died, I'm living in the seniors only apartment. It's nice, it's cute. But Lordy, they got old people here. And those old people, why, they play cards and bingo and board games, and they have these socials on Tuesdays. And they sit up there and they wait for the mail half the day sometimes. And well, I don't like to do any of that. I'm not a game. I ask my kids, they'll tell you, I don't like to play games. And it certainly is a waste of time sitting there waiting for my mail to come in. And as far as that social Tuesday stuff that they do. I don't want to sit there and eat cake and ice cream while someone tells me about their problem with their bowels and their prostate. It's just downright unappetizing. Anyway, after Gene died, I got into a real deep funk. Those were some dark days. And I would just sit in front of that TV and I'd watch game shows and soap operas, and I didn't like them either. And one day, I don't know what I was thinking about, but somehow I started thinking about Harry. Gene and I met Harry in Texas at a campground that we were hosting. And he bicycled in one evening, just almost dark. The old fellow was in his 80s. I'd take a guess and say maybe 86 or 87. I went out, I asked him what he wanted. He said he wanted to spend the night. He was tired. So I led him down to where the tent area was, and I said, you can pitch your tent anywhere you want. And he said, oh, missus, I don't pitch a tent. I just sleep under the stars. I love sleeping under the stars. Well, Harry stayed there at that campground with us 3 or 4 days, and he wound up telling us his story. It seems that he'd been a coal miner in West Virginia all his life, and when his wife Evie died, he did just what I did when Gene died. He sat in front of that old TV and he watched soap operas and game shows. And one day he realized he was just wasting his life away. And he said, I got up out of my chair, walked out the door and locked it behind me. And he said, I went down to the town and I bought myself a bicycle and a knapsack. And I climbed on this here old bicycle and I just started pedaling. And he says, I've been pedaling for 2 years now. Well, I was floored. No man that age, he could do that. But he said he wasn't going to stop until he circumvented this whole darn country. And then maybe he'd do it again if he still had time. Well, just thinking about Harry made me think about me. And I got up out of my chair. I cut the plug off this old TV. I hitched up my bra, put on my ball cap, and I walked out that front door. Got in my car. I didn't know where I was going, but I knew when I got there, I'd know it. Well, I drove west, and I drove until I came across this rodeo, and I pulled into the parking lot, and I went in, and I had the best 2 hours watching those kids, those men out there roping and wrangling and racing barrels and bucking broncos. That was exciting. I really enjoyed that. Well, when it was over and I was leaving out through where all the vendors are with their cotton candy and soda and all, and there was this one vendor there, and he had one of those mechanical bowls, you know, that rocks and shakes and all. And I handed him my camera and a $10 bill, and I said, take a picture of me before I fall off. And he did. So I went home that day. I had a sore butt and a picture of me on a mechanical bull in my camera, and I felt good. Later that night, sitting at home again, no TV because I didn't have a new plug to put on it, I poured myself a glass of wine and I thought, I'm going to do me a new bucket list and I'm going to start all over again. So that's what I did. First thing I put on that bucket list was the Grand Canyon. I rode down the Grand Canyon once with my kids when they were young. And when we got all the way down on our mules, oh Lordy, you got to hear about Daisy. Daisy, that was my mule. And we're riding down this skinny old windy trail going down into the canyon. You know that's a mile deep, that canyon? Well, we're going down and all of a sudden my mule, Daisy, she sees this flower just over the edge there. And what did she do? She turned sideways on that trail and she bent down to grab hold of that flower for her lunch. And I went with her and I thought I was going to die. I looked down at that 1 mile and I thought, oh Lordy, this is the end. But she got her snack and she got back up and we headed on down. Anyway, finish my story. When we got down to the bottom of that there canyon, I saw these rafters coming down the river, and I said, oh Lordy, I want to do that someday. So that's what I did. That was the first thing on my bucket list. But that's a long story. I'll let that for another day. But you know, I'd like you all to come back. It gets kind of lonely here sometimes. So if you'd like to come back, come on back. How about, I don't know, come back next Monday. I've got a fondness for Mondays. My Jean and I, we dated 15 years while I raised my girls alone. And we dated every Monday night, and I kind of learned to love Mondays along with loving that man. So you come back next Monday. How about 2 o'clock? Now I'm on mountain time because I'm in Deming, New Mexico, so you adjust your times, and I'll see you back here next Monday, 2 o'clock. And you take care now.